Little Bill is a super smart kid, the son of an ultra-wealthy family. Because of that, he became the target of 3 robbers. But they had no idea how this kid would give them a real beating. Pay attention, this adorable child is not easy to mess with. These 3 robbers taking photos are about to face disaster. The kid looks at this pig-faced guy. Why does he look so familiar? Then he glances at the man in front of him and suddenly smiles. Why do they look so much alike? The man was just about to pick the kid up, but his expression ended up being truly remarkable. Then, using the excuse of taking photos, they sent the family members away. The 3 of them took the opportunity to bring the kid to the window, put him in a car, and drove off, leaving behind a ransom note on the table. The child is in my hands. Don't call the police. And they demanded a ransom of $5 million. It turns out these 3 men had been targeting the boy for a while. Boss, how do you know if the milk is hot or cold? Test it on the most sensitive spot. The result? Pour it out. This made the boy secretly amused, thinking these guys were hopeless. Originally, they wanted the boy to drink milk and go to sleep, but unexpectedly, they fell asleep first. The boy patted his face a few times, but he was still sound asleep. Just like that, the boy crawled out the window up to the rooftop, saw a pigeon, and started drooling. Unfortunately, his drool landed right on Jack's neck. Jack thought the idiot next to him was spitting, so he turned around and slapped him. In the end, the 2 of them looked up, and as soon as they saw what was happening, they panicked and hurriedly ran upstairs. At that moment, the boy picked up a wooden plank intending to catch the pigeon, and Jack, seeing this, rushed over in a hurry. As a result, before Jack could even recover, he got hit a second time. David angrily threw the wooden plank away. The outcome was that they lost the only way to catch the boy. The boy stood up and giggled. The 2 men helped Jack look down. Oh my God, it looked like it was at least 3,000 meters down. David said the wooden plank was gone. I'll count to 3. Let's all jump over together, okay? As a result, the 2 guys jumped over, but when they turned around, Jack was nowhere to be seen. At that moment, Jack was still struggling. There was nothing he could do. Who told him to eat so much? The 2 hurriedly ran down and asked, Boss, are you okay? Hurry up and get up to catch that kid for me. You have to admit, Jack is really lucky. At the same time, the boy spotted a bus. By the time they looked up, the kid was already on the bus. The 3 of them quickly drove after him, but their driver was so clueless that he took a wrong turn. Meanwhile, Bill on the bus had crawled into an old lady's basket. So why did the 3 guys chase all the way there? When they opened the car door to look, the kid had already disappeared. Turns out, the boy had already hidden inside the fat lady's tote bag. Just then, David happened to spot him by accident, and the 3 idiots hurriedly gave chase again. Noticing someone following her, the fat lady swung her handbag right into the pursuer's face, then put David in a headlock and landed a flurry of punches on him. Who told you guys to follow me, huh? Let me show you my strength. Taking advantage of the 3 guys getting beaten up, the boy slipped into a daycare center, where a nurse immediately picked him up and let him play. Bill was very clever. He crawled right under another kid's stroller, got to drink some milk, and was pushed around for a ride. He had no idea that the next stop would be the zoo. The boy just kept crossing the street like that. Have you ever seen a kid as bold as this one? At that very moment, the group of criminals happened to spot him as well. They wanted to cross the street, but the traffic was so heavy that they couldn't get across. On top of that, their feet got crushed by car tires, so they hobbled across the road. As a result, they jumped right into a mossy manhole and kept falling down, only finally spotting Bill's footprints to follow. Unexpectedly, inside, Bill had already made friends with King Kong, leaving the 3 guys standing dumbfounded in front of the animal enclosure. Bill even called King Kong his brother. Jack looked at David and said, "It's time for you to put your long arms to good use." David reached out and grabbed the boy's shoelace, trying to pull the kid toward him. Unfortunately, King Kong held on to the shoelace. "Boss, save me!" The monkey stood up and walked over to David. "Do you think you can just touch my underling?" As a result, King Kong landed a blow, and it looked like they'd have to go back to Vietnam to buy Serijet medicine again. The monkeys here are having way too much fun. Jack looked on and shook his head. It seemed like something was broken. "Now it's your turn, Harry." Harry grabbed the broom and lifted the kid up. Just when he thought he had succeeded, the monkey pulled the kid back down. A second later. "Goodbye, Dad. Looks like in the end Jack will have to handle it himself." He took advantage of the moment when the kid and King Kong were asleep to pull him outside. As a result, the monkey suddenly woke up, grabbed both of his hands, and used the lion's roar technique against Jack. Honestly, it had been so long since it brushed its teeth that he was suffocated. Even a single blow from the ruler broke both of his buttocks. "You're amazing, big brother. Let me give you a round of applause." Under the protection of the gorilla, the 3 thieves could only stand by and watch, but after a while, the kid crawled out of the zoo. Just like that, he continued his adventure. While at home, his mother missed him so much that she was brought to tears. Meanwhile, the 3 thieves continued their pursuit, hoping to get a ransom. Unexpectedly, not long after, they actually spotted little Bill. All three hurriedly got out of the car to chase after him. Seeing this, the boy quickly crawled into the grass. When the three men frantically searched through the grass, the boy slipped into a pipe. At this point, Jack finally showed some smarts and told the other two to run around and block the other end of the pipe. Sure enough, they caught little Bill, but just as they were about to carry him away, the police suddenly showed up. Forget it, Hi, let's get out of here. But the police still walked right up to the three of them. Jack quickly threw his coat over the boy to cover him up. Unexpectedly, little Bill reached out and grabbed Jack by the balls, twisting them mercilessly while the police were questioning them, making Jack feel excruciating pain. Have you seen a kid who was recently kidnapped around here? At that moment, the boy flicked a lighter. Just a second later, Jack's mouth dropped open, but he couldn't even scream. Once inside, the boy took full advantage and burned even harder. The police looked at Jack and thought he was just an idiot, so they turned to leave, but instead of going, they came back to ask more questions, while the boy still refused to let go. Why does it smell like grilled meat? Looks like summer is coming. People must be grilling and frying a lot. Jack was in so much pain that his leg muscles cramped up. At that moment, the boy took the opportunity to crawl away from the police, and once he was gone, Jack couldn't take it anymore. The flames started to blaze up fiercely. The other two saw him and quickly laid him on the ground, then stomped on the poor bird continuously. If nothing unexpected happened, it looked like Jack had lost his only means of reproduction. David even smugly asked, "See how good I am at putting out fires?" At the same time, the boy had crawled to the construction site, and a big truck just drove right over Bill's head. Bill happily continued his adventure, climbing onto a steel plate to get a piece of cake. Take note, the boy is now sitting on the steel plate, eating his crumbled cake. A second later, the steel plate was lifted up high. Oh my God! David was terrified when he saw it. The three robbers hurriedly took the elevator to chase after him. Watching this scene really gives you goosebumps. When they reached the top and looked down, the three of them were almost scared out of their wits. Yet the kid was still having a great time playing. As soon as the steel beam was raised, David was pushed down by Jack, but unexpectedly, the steel plate lost its balance. The kid just slid down along the steel beam and landed safely on the ground. Meanwhile, David was left hanging in midair, his arm almost slipping off. Jack even forced Harry to go rescue him. As a result, both of them ended up hanging in midair. In the end, unable to hold on any longer, he fell down. Luckily, a wooden plank managed to break his fall. Harry had just sat up, still not understanding what had happened. Looks like this time he's going to lose his 2 quail eggs. Then he continued to fall into a tub of cement. David was already saved, but Jack told him to jump onto the elevator. David jumped down and all you could hear was a loud bang. He thought everything was fine, but a second later he fell flat on his back. He had just turned over, about to start the engine, still not fully recovered, when the elevator started going up again. David spun around 360 degrees and ended up sitting on a cart. He still hadn't figured out what was going on. As a result, he shot straight out and fell down. Luckily, he landed right in a trash bin and survived. At this point, Jack had already found the kid. The kid grinned, turned around, and crawled away. Jack confidently walked over, but slipped and fell because of the kid's drool. The wooden plank flew up into the air and came crashing down on Jack's head. Jack, in pain, banged on the plank and cried out. The kid saw this and shook his head. This case is truly beyond saving. Jack staggered, intending to grab the rope to stand up, but accidentally stepped on the mixer's start button instead. A second later, it dumped its contents all over him. That was just way too direct. Oh God, why is fate so unfair to me? Why do I keep losing to you every single time, kid? Jack, frustrated, was determined to catch up and chase him down, no matter what. Right at that moment, the freight elevator descended, and the kid simply climbed on top of it. Jack saw the kid he was about to catch escape right before his eyes again. He was so angry he was grinding his teeth. Spotting the crane hook, Jack suddenly got the idea to jump over and grab onto the cable, just as it was quitting time. The cable was moving right at the end of the workday. It seems that clocking out on time is a good thing no matter where you are. By this time, the kid had already landed safely. Jack could only watch as the kid crawled away, while he himself was left hanging there the whole evening. It wasn't until much later that his 2 miserable lackeys finally found him. Meanwhile, at the police station, reports came in from many people who had seen the boy. Sure enough, everything was happening just like in the comic book the boy was always told about. Immediately, the maid guessed the next stop. Because according to the comic book, he would go to meet the former president of the United States, and indeed the boy actually went there. The boy went inside to meet the old men, making them happy and laugh heartily. Finally, his parents and family arrived. When they went inside, they saw the old men singing Christmas carols to the boy. It truly was a peaceful and boundlessly happy Christmas night. On the way home, the boy insisted on pointing toward the clock. Suddenly, his parents realized that was where the thieves were hiding. The police immediately turned the car around and headed to that location. It was easy to catch all 3 unlucky blackmailing thieves. They had the misfortune of running into an adorable boy. Having a child like this brings so much joy. Van Arn says hello and wishes everyone a Merry Christmas. Bye.
Thank you for watching the entire movie. What do you think about this movie? Leave your comments below to let Van Ann know. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel to support me. Bye.